Hello everyone, Flattmeister here. Oh dear, my video got blocked by NBC in the US and Canada, two of the major countries that are quite a lot of my subscribers and viewers from those countries, and it got blocked because of a copyright. I did an intro using the Quantum Leap intro, and the way I edited it, I used clips and photoshopped my face on Scott Bakula's body, or what was his name, Sam Beckett in Quantum Leap. Sort of the opening intro, and the Flat Pack as well, with their faces as Al, the hologram. I really put a lot of time into editing that as well. I was really annoyed straight away as soon as it was uploaded. Copyright. But basically that video went into explaining, Trump and Republicans blaming violent video games, and I went in depth saying about that young kids shouldn't be playing games, or they should be supervised as well. You shouldn't use your TV as a babysitter. You shouldn't use video games as a babysitter for your kids. Get your kids to do something creative, to write or draw something, or create something with clay or art, paintings, things like that. You shouldn't be just sat in front of the TV or playing video games all the time. As a kid, you need to be getting those creative juices flowing.
Give them diarrhea!
Diarrhea?
Yes, that's right, diarrhea! For all the family to enjoy. Diarrhea! It's the gift that keeps on giving. Diarrhea! From ages 8 to 88. Diarrhea!
I said about that. I said about the age restrictions that are already in place, the ESRB in the US, the BBFC, the British Board of Film Classification, which also age rate. They rate movies and video games in the UK. And I said about how the regressive left, the SJWs, and all these people that tout that games make you sexist and misogynist, but we haven't cited any sources. We just made stuff up and went along with it. And I showed in the video there was archives since like 2012, Polygon's articles, and showing their hypocrisy. They're going, violent video games and the content. There was even like the Last of Us 2 trailer when that came out, and Polygon went, stop using violence to sell your game. So there was all these archived articles, and then there was they then backpedaled. They went, Trump scapegoating violent video games for the cause of shootings and real life violence. Correlation does not necessarily mean causation. While the sales and popularity of video games has gone up, violent crime has actually gone down. And also I said about aggression. They keep going on about, there's a increase in aggression. Aggression is an emotion that's not necessarily violent. And I said about there was a study that was done where they sat people down playing violent competitive games and non-violent competitive games, and then they were also playing violent non-competitive games and non-violent non-competitive games. And guess what came up? It was the competitiveness, regardless of violent or non-violent content. It was the competitiveness that increased aggression. I can't remember what the study was. I wish I could cite it. I can't remember it, but I remember reading this study. It was done. That's what they found. So yeah, aggression isn't necessarily a negative thing. It's competitiveness and assertiveness. There's some positive, and although they'll go, it's toxic masculinity, they'll blame it on that. And I was saying about that, regardless of if Trump was elected, if it was Hillary elected, and if she was president, it'd be the same thing. The only reason these SJWs changing their tune is because it's Trump derangement syndrome. They can't be seen agreeing with Trump, and also It undermines their narrative. And they thought they were going to be the ones in charge. They thought, oh, Hillary's going to be voted in. And Hillary Clinton, she still is. Even in the 90s and and the 2000s, she was very much anti-video game as well. She was very much against violent video games.
Now, as you can see from the posters that we have displayed here, many games contain content that is deeply disturbing. It's almost routine in popular games for players to spray other people with Uzis, to drive over pedestrians, to kill police officers, to attack women, and in some cases, even to engage in cannibalism. Players commit gruesome acts like these using top-of-the-line graphics in stunningly realistic detail. Now, it is up to adults whether they wish to expose themselves to this type of violence and pornography. But we have 40 years of research to tell us that violent media is bad for our children. According to the most comprehensive statistical analysis yet conducted, violent video games increase aggressive behavior as much as lead exposure decreases children's IQ scores. And I want people to think about that. Everybody knows lead poisoning is bad for children.
Okay.
Well, I want everybody to know that exposure to violent video games is also bad for children.
And yeah, so you know that she would have done the exact same thing that Trump is doing with regards to violent video games. So there's been studies done. Violent fictional media does not make you violent. They're going on about cultivation theory. So yeah, all the SJWs started changing their tune. They're like, oh no, stop scapegoating video games, Trump. So that was basically the summary of my 33-odd minute video in which I rebuked and rebutted. I read out some tweets that people had made from various people. And then also I said about that Trump was due to meet with experts in the video gaming industry and also people from the other side. There was Republican politicians that were making statements with loaded words going, ooh, this infects, video games infects and poisons the minds of the youth and the young mind. It's the moral fabric of society. Using really loaded terms, loaded words. The meeting happened and it's found out. And I immediately saw this tweet by Action Points. So they said, the White House released a violence in video games reel to show just how terrible games are. Some of the clips were cherry-picked without context, while others were just lifted off YouTube with the watermarks still on them. Why does this sound so familiar? Oh yeah! Anita Sarkeesian. But she also tweeted, like when Trump went, we need to look into the violent video games. And violent movies he also spoke about. She went, oh look, Trump is scapegoating video games, it's not about that. Hypocrite and a fraud. Absolute hypocrite. I can't believe this, right? So there was this massive thread by Warren Spector, sort of soon after this reel was... And what makes me laugh, it had 2.1 thousand likes to 71,000 dislikes. That, dislike ratio, though. Warren Spector, anyway, that name might ring a bell. He used to work, he worked on the original Deus Ex. He's a director of Other Sides Entertainment in Austin, Texas. And I can't believe this, right? Someone that is a video game professional and, well, obviously people can have different opinions, but I can't believe how he went. Anyway, I'll show you the clip, the reel. It's really out of context. Lots of they're all non-playable parts. They're like cutscenes from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. There's a Dead by Daylight clip. There's also Sniper Elite 4, I think that's from Sniper Elite 4, of Nazis getting killed, getting shot in the head. There's that Dead by Daylight. There's a guy getting strung up on a spike, on a meat hook, and a girl getting axed in the face. There was a clip from Wolfenstein of a Nazi, a bad guy getting knifed in the side of the neck. Yeah, it was all just a bunch of out of context stuff. There was like this woman from what's her name, Melissa something. I can't remember her fucking name. Anyway, well, there's not the One Angry Gamer article here. But they had like someone from the Parents Television Council. Like, oh god. So it was an out of context reel. So anyway, back onto the Warren Spector thread, and he was saying, I don't believe games cause violent behaviour, not for 1 second. However, the video game reel shown at the White House on Thursday is simply disgusting. Every shot is in colossally bad taste, and everyone associated with those games should be ashamed of themselves. They hurt us. Well, that sounds like you're wanting only a certain way in which creators can, of their creative expression. For a fellow creator, Warren, you're the one that's hurting other creators by dictating what is an acceptable level of violence or whichever content. Would you say that to David Cage at Quantic Dream, saying, "Oh no, you should do the child abuse story arc, because it's child abuse"? If you don't get what I'm talking about there, I did a video about that about a month or so ago. And people were saying in the thread, saying, yeah, we get how you mean. However, Deus Ex allows you to murder several people. But that's what I like about stealth games, is not necessarily killing people. Like in stealth games, I actually like to play the non-lethal route. I like to really challenge myself using the stealth mechanics and the level design, the level layout. Like Dishonored, for instance. There is so... Like, you play that... Like, do several playthroughs of that, and you will always find a different path. Like, holy shit, I didn't see that vent shaft before. Holy shit, why did I not think of investing in the possession skill early on and possess this rat or fish to go in this vent and then
Diarrhea!
the other side inside the building that I need to get into. So many different paths. Same with like the Splinter Cell series was great, like hiding in the shadows up against the wall and seeing patrols go right past you, and you're like, you didn't spot me. And then, knock them out unconscious, or, when you'd interrogate them. But yeah, that's what I love about stealth games. I have yet to complete the original Deus Ex. I loved Human Revolution. Really enjoyable. That'd be great if they, well, not remastered, if they remade the original Deus Ex with all of the gameplay mechanics of like the cover-based stuff, and all of the cutscenes, the graphics, massive graphic overhaul in like the modern graphics of Deus Ex: Mankind Divided. Oh, I'd play the hell out of that, because it is quite Deus Ex was 2000, hasn't aged very well. The characters are quite blocky. People are saying about Deus Ex apparently allows people to murder several children in any number of ways, well beyond using guns. So in response, Warren is going, good points, but I hope players were repulsed by the killing of children. And easy for me to say, but true. I'm ashamed of the kid-killing possibility and wouldn't do it again. Can't promise, but I don't think I'll ever make another game where you can kill virtual people at all. Games are supposed to be an escapism. You can explore mature themes and things within a safe digital bubble, a very creative bubble, is in which I said in one of my tweets. But many people are saying, look, the real problem is guns, not virtual violence. Some of the most powerful anti-war films are violent. But then Warren seems to be doing he's kind of doubling down when people are calling him out on this stuff. He goes, I completely agree that the violent video game argument is a red herring and that there are more important things that we should be talking about when it comes to shootings, mass and otherwise. Man, do I agree with that. And this Matthew Kossel, who is the main guy sort of interacting at first, saying about the right are exceptionally good and have decades of practice at shifting the focus. It would be interesting to know what your favourite films and games are and how many of them contain violence. Chess, Risk, etc. involve violence and murder. The main thing that has changed is the visuals. Exactly. And Warren says, It's the visuals that bug me, not the violence itself. Though axes to the head are pretty much unnecessary as a game mechanic. Well, if you're playing as a Jason Voorhees type character, like what they showed with a clip from Dead by Daylight or whatever the game is. Well, even there is a Friday the 13th game, right? You can kill people in numerous ways. People want to be in control of Jason Voorhees, the mass killing villain. And you're right that this is a blatant attempt to shift the focus. So then Kane Damo, who I think he has a YouTube channel as well. So Pro Gamergate. I've interacted with him quite a few on Twitter. So he says, it's not real and your disgust is subjective. And this is where I came in and said, gotta agree with you there, Kane. I said, and this is before I had seen the show reel, before I realised there was a show reel actually. And I said, was the show reel at the White House only showing scenes of violence without any prior context and build up to said scenes? Because showing a montage of violent acts from various games to politicians isn't going to sway them. I then continued to say, for instance, if I showed you a video of a man smashing... of a video game, right? Showed you a video of a man smashing another man's head in with a golf club, and with no context, it's just a violent act. But if, say, in a separate moment in time, like a alternate universe, and I told you that prior to showing the video, that the victim was actually manipulating and controlling the character into killing him. Get the game? Yeah, it's Bioshock. Andrew Ryan. I said, context is key, especially within heavily narrative-driven games. I also said, imagine what Spec Ops The Line would have been like if you had took out all of the combat and the white phosphorus scene. I said, well, the game and story just simply wouldn't exist. And I know that I keep bringing up Spec Ops The Line, and I've been... and someone commented... I originally, when I brought Spec Ops The Line up, I think in a boss skip button video, and someone said in a comment, oh, you need to show us a clip of that game so we get what you're talking about. Well, here you go.
Okay, prepare to fire.
That in order?
Yeah, it is.
Fine. Launching camera.
There! Falcon, we got it.
Camera online, sir.
Okay, targeting online. You ready?
Whenever you are.
Burn it.
You need to hit those RPGs!
RPGs neutralized.
Preparing to fire.
Snipers fire. Burn it.
Target in sight.
Let's get down there. Want to reach that gate before reinforcements arrive. Stop talking.
Anyone there? I'm trapped. I can't feel my leg.
Let's just keep moving.
God, please help!
There's nothing we can do. Come on. He's already dead.
Why?
You brought this on yourself.
We were helping.
What? Oh no.
Are those civilians? Where'd they come from? There's no camp here.
They took him from the nest.
No, those can't be the civvies that got kidnapped. It's not possible. Yeah, it is. That's why Gould stormed this place. He didn't want the kid.
This is your fault, goddammit! It's not right there, Bruno. What it is, you wouldn't listen! He turned us into fucking killers! No!
We need to keep moving.
What?
Very heavily narrative driven game. I highly recommend you play it. I really want to do a let's play of it. But I need to get a well, if I can afford it, I need to get a capture card, like an Elgato capture card or something, so I can rig up my Xbox 360 up to the laptop and do some let's plays of like have a retrospective let's plays or something would be good. But Randy Pitchford also chimed in. If you don't know who Randy Pitchford is, he's the CEO of Gearbox, who did the Borderlands series. He says, Warren, this was a dishonestly cut hit reel, strategically out of context shots assembled by a propagandist mindset. That the tactic can have such an impact on a mind as disciplined and sophisticated as yours is disheartening. Warren then replies, I realise the violent game video provided no context, but that doesn't change the fact that the images are in shockingly bad taste. That they could be cut together at all is the problem. Again, I'm just talking about bad taste, not violence in video games. I mean, also in the reel. It took mainly from, like, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. It had the airport massacre scene in which you are undercover, you're an American CIA agent undercover with the Russian terrorists, and you participate in the civilian massacre at this Russian airport. The thing is, you can play through that level not shooting a single civilian. The clip showed them going, bah. I think I've presented the clip in a previous video before. Oh, here where I chimed in again. He goes, so anyway, Warren continues going, they could be cut together at all as the problem. Again, I'm just talking about bad taste, not violence in video games. And then this profile who I've not heard of before, Geek Leet Media. Isn't the nature of violence bad taste? Violence should be offensive because violence is crude and uncomfortable. I like that people are being very concise, very respectful in the thread as well. Is crude and uncomfortable. What you're encouraging sounds like self-censorship. Things should be as violent or not as the creator desires. If you're offended, their art is realised. Exactly. I've always said this. If art makes you feel an emotion, disgust, it succeeded in its mission. So a lot of these SJW comics, Marvel comics, Squirrel Girl. Yep, that's the artist's. The artist's message was to disgust you with Squirrel Girl. And so then I continued, I replied, I said, exactly, games allow us to explore mature themes and to carry out, carry out violent power fantasies. But you can, not necessarily violent fantasies, but just power fantasies in general. Like, oh, I can be a superhero, I can be like in Dishonored, oh, I can teleport across the room at a blink of an eye, and I can possess a rat and scurry through vents and do all these wonderful breaking the laws of physics abilities. I said, we can carry out these fantasies within the safe parameters of a digital bubble. A very creative bubble. I said, unfortunately, violence is just part of our mammal brain. It's our caveman instincts. It's our lizard brain. I said, but laws and civilizations have enabled us to separate ourselves from the animals, from the beasts. I said, would Shakespeare self-regulate himself if a bunch of whiny toffs complained Romeo and Juliet glorified suicide? How very dare you, William? And then I included a gif of Shakespeare sticking his tongue out. Oh, and then also Geeklit, I think, responded back to me saying, let's not forget theatre was once used for execution of criminals, and there was also the infamous arenas. Life is a balance of violence and peace, ugly and beauty. That's why all creatures and nature itself can express those things. But yeah, many people are just saying this is just dishonest propaganda. Every shot is in intentionally bad taste because it's isolated and out of context, and it's for the express purpose of emotional manipulation. So yeah, many people, like even Just Lyle, responding to Warren. Warren's going, for sure, in some cases the video context would have helped, but the fact that those images exist means our, well, enemies can use them against us. As this discussion unfolds, I hope everyone will remember that I love games and don't think they cause violent behaviour. And Sia Just Lyle said, are you arguing for self-regulation to avoid government intervention here? But Warren, like he said, true enough, but the games I work on typically offer alternatives to violence. I try to show the consequences. There aren't any decapitations, bloody, gibbing, headshots or axe killings. Well, it's Deus Ex, it's more futuristic technology. I don't mind violent games, I mind games that glorify it and present it in graphic, disgusting ways. Or maybe it's supposed to be like like Wolfenstein is gritty and, gory. Doom, for instance. You couldn't play Doom if it didn't have the rip and tear. Tearing the demons' heads in half. And people are saying, oh yes, I agree with you that some games glorify violence. Mortal Kombat, God of War and Wolfenstein, The New Order. Yes, because the gameplay also reflect that, same as Doom, and the same with Wolfenstein. It says a lot about the character. Say Doom Guy, for instance. He's woken from his slumber, and the demons have once again been let loose by the UAC. All he has is just pure rage and hatred for the demon spawn. And so I've played a bit of, I've seen clips of it as well, of the new Doom game, and all of the actions that Doom Guy does is all really like aggressive. Like he doesn't just press a button, he goes bonk like that, and he smashes computer screens out of the way. And the same with BJ Blazowski. I don't even know how you say his name. BJ Blazowski, is that his name? But he's got hatred for the Nazis, and he can't. He's a soldier that just can't rest. He's still trying to take down the New Order. He's got hatred for the Nazis and for the New Order. So the gameplay being visceral reflects the character's mindset. This hatred and aggression and just pure unadulterated rage. Same with Mortal Kombat. It's supposed to be over the top. That's what separated that from Street Fighter. In Mortal Kombat, you had the toasty, and you had all the stage fatalities and all the normal, the fatalities as well. That's what separated that from Street Fighter, and I can't think of any other fucking fighting games. That's what made that game unique. Again, Warren's still going, just to be clear, I don't mind violence in games. What does he mean by the glorification? Like, if games are more, like the graphics more technical, developers can be more detailed. Like with Sniper Elite, showing the damage of what a bullet can do. That's not glorification, that's, it's kind of educational. Seeing the damage of what a bullet can do to you from certain distances and height and angles. Like, the game is all based on, it's physics based. It's got, bullet drop effects and wind, and if you shoot someone in the rib and just seeing how it affects the internal organs and the rib cage, and it's not, I wouldn't say glorification. The glorification of violence I mind a little. What I mind a lot is gratuitous, over-the-top depictions of violence. And to repeat, it's not the game's caused behaviour, it's just bad taste and the damage it does to us with haters. Blaming developers, oh, you're just giving our opponents ammunition. This Ben guy goes, I agree with you. What irritates me is this recent trend in games being over the top for no reason, like Shadow Warrior. I've not played that game, but I've heard that game is literally like satire and parody of like the action movies of the 80s and 90s. The character apparently says all these really crude sexual and innuendo one-liners that game is supposed to be over the top. And again, Sniper Elite, I wouldn't say it's over the top. It's pretty visceral and real. And thanks for making a Deus Ex. It's a great game. Again, some people are like, Warren, I really respect you and your work, but that is just too sweeping. I dislike violence. I have to look away a lot in movies when a knife comes out. Some people use it to purposefully make that act shocking. That paintbrush you used is far too wide. But again, like this Benjamin Newsom is saying that calling them hurtful and detrimental is superimposing a personal value as an axiom over an artistic expression. I want you to say you find them disturbing and you purposefully make other choices. It gets muddy when you say that they are harmful to an entire medium without analysis. Liana Kersner, she popped up in the thread as well. She goes, some of those are survival horror games, and it's actually an enemy killing the main character. People making a game about a character feeling guilt over the death of his family. People making a game about a character feeling guilt over the death of his family should be ashamed. I don't understand why he was saying it hurts us. Hudson's unsecured shit, and I love this profile. I love this person. He goes, no, it just shows that when you don't self-censor, you'll provide hacks the opportunity to make misrepresenting propaganda to suit their agendas. I refuse to allow said hacks to have any such power over me. Manipulating propaganda be damned.
Game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
But apparently there was a bunch of this meeting. It had a bunch of CEOs from AAA gaming, but it had loads of these anti-gaming activists. It sounded like they were really bought and paid for to stacking up against these CEOs. And apparently this was closed off to the public as well. The briefing is short and sweet, explaining that after, again on this One Angry Gamer article, explaining that after hearing both sides talk about whether or not violent games have an impact on causing real-life violence, Trump surmised that some of the data presented to him indicated that games do cause real-life violence. White House briefing states, during today's meeting, the group spoke with the president about the effect that violent video games have on our youth, especially young males. The president acknowledged some studies have indicated there is a correlation between video game violence and real violence. Yeah, like I said, correlation does not necessarily mean causation. You could say, oh, the sales of on bacon has gone up. Correlation is lots of people that play video games also eat bacon. Obviously bacon is causing people to be violent and play violent video games, and yes, we should ban bacon. Billy D goes on to say, for clarification, there are also studies that show that video games do not directly desensitize users to real life violence. There have also been studies showing that the link between video game violence and real life violence is very minimal. In fact, the OJJDP reported that there has been a drastic decline across the board in youth violence from the 80s up through to the 2010s. As noted in the White House briefing, was themed around whether or not violent games affect the youth of America and desensitizes the community to violence. There's been loads of character deaths in The Walking Dead, for instance. The bad guy has killed certain main characters and you're like, oh my god, that's horrible. Oh, I was really shocked by it, even though I know it's not real. I obviously have a emotional attachment to said main characters, and when they're killed off, because I'm immersed and personally invested in the story and those characters, even though I know it's not real, it's a fictional story. Anti-video game propaganda is what it was. Fear-mongering. So yeah, like I said, the video, 71k dislikes to 2.1k likes. Some game designers actually agreed with Republicans in believing that ultraviolence has no place in games. So this is just the first of multiple meetings that the White House will have on the topic of video game violence. For goodness sake, stop distracting from the actual issues at hand. Mental illness, proper vetting, more stricter vetting on people that get hold of guns. Again, I'm not going to get into the gun debate. This just feels like distraction. Yeah, parents need to be supervising their kids. Get your kids to do more than just sat in front of the TV. As noted in the White House briefing, there will be more talk centered around the topics of public safety and the role media plays when it comes to affecting youth in America. This meeting is part of ongoing discussions with local leaders and Congress on issues concerning school and public safety and protecting America's youth. Apparently, Fox News and Reuters reported that Melissa Henson, she's from that's the woman I was saying about, from the Parents Television Council, that complains like that, Family Guy is offensive and shouldn't be on television. Basically, the Parents Television Council, they're anti-sex and anti-violence in any entertainment. But yeah, apparently she said that she felt that the first meeting went well. Now, I'm sure that a lot of the video game CEOs that went in had a lot of they tried to appeal to Trump's businessman side. Again, the video game industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. How come video games are in more than just America and there's been no mass shootings in any other country? In the UK, we get access to all video games. Didn't they ban in the UK? They banned Manhunt 2. I think that's the only game that I don't know if it then got repealed and it was given an adult-only rating. The end game is that some Republican politicians, they want stricter regulation on video games or higher taxation for violent video games. And that's not on. They want to increase like that is again censorship, and that's inhibiting and restricting creative expression. But people should know that the Supreme Court, and apparently this was in 2011, this ruling, protected video games as creative works under the First Amendment. Creative expression, freedom of speech and freedom of creative expression. But like I said, there was I saw someone tweeted the French government want to restrict and also add additional taxations to games that are misogynistic or that what they deem reinforces sexist stereotypes. And so the French government are basically away with you Senran Kagura games and Dead or Alive beach volleyball. Oh, je suis. Oh. And again, I said there's been a few UK politicians that have tried to say that same thing. Oh, the sexist content. But people are going, oh, but Trump is playing 4D chess. He's trying to pwn the libtards. No, I said in my last video, a wise man named Ralt said, the government is not your friend. Regardless of who's in power, they will try and restrict your creative expression. If you are a creator in the movies, comics industry, they will try and restrict it if it doesn't fit their value. Video game violence is bad, okay? So yeah, I feel really annoyed that you guys didn't get to see my... if you are in the US or Canada and you weren't able to watch it. I don't know if... Can you change your location on YouTube? If you change it to England, you should be able to watch it. But yeah, I put a lot of time into my last video. Yeah, I want to hear what you... This is still unfolding. I would never, ever want someone to restrict. I would not ever restrict someone's creative vision. When myself and like all the Comicsgate and Gamergate, when people complain about the SJW created games, we're not wanting them to... we're not trying to restrict their... They can create, and we vote with our wallets. They can create what they want, but we vote with our wallets and go, okay, well, that game looks rubbish because... Well, like, take for instance, Mass Effect Andromeda. My face is tired from dealing with everything. Well, lo and behold. The people that are ham-fistedly inserting identity politics and things into their writing rather than writing a story first. And Stan Lee said that. Write the story first, and if a message can fit in there, put it in there. But a story and characters matter first. Yeah, like I said, I would never want to have a creator trying to give them feedback like, look, here's ways you can improve your storytelling or create ways of improving your game. Chill out with the politics. You can explore social and political issues, political commentary within your game, movie or comic or TV show. But don't do it ham-fisted. But that's another topic. This is all about censorship. So people need to make your voices heard. If you live in the US, you need to respectfully as well. You need to email the White House. People are saying, "Oh, it's the parent." Well, look, you need to Cite these studies, explain yourself calmly, don't swear, shout in the email, make very clear, concise points, and explain you are of sound mind and that there is millions of people that play video games around the world, places that don't have mass shootings or mass violence, and explain why. Or even if you are a creator as well, and you're saying, look, you are going to be restricting my creative expression. So yeah, be more active. Less, rather than complaining on Twitter, I think people need to engage. Be more proactive. But we'll see where this story unfolds. So yeah, I'd like to hear what you guys think about this. Leave all your comments down below. So yeah, I've been Flattmeister. I'll catch you in the next video. So yeah.
My opponent is a liar and he cannot be trusted. No!
Oh my god, she is such a turd sandwich.
Diarrhea!